Hello, today is 3/9 of 26, and I am here with a video of what I eat in a day on my keto journey. If you're new here, my name is Christy. I changed my diet to a high protein, moderate fat, low carb diet in April of 2024. I'm excited this morning. I'm going to try a couple new recipes, and I like to try new recipes, so that's just fun for me. One is for a coffee smoothie, and the other is for a like pancake mug cake. All right, so this first one is from Autumn L Nutrition. I will link to her site in the description below. I have added to my blender my tablespoon of MCT oil. This is not part of the original recipe, but I do like to get this in the morning because I can definitely feel a difference in my brain. Then I have here 5 ounces of brewed coffee. And her recipe calls for any kind of milk that isn't like oat milk. Oat milk is higher in carbs. So I am going to use this unsweetened almond milk mostly because I'm trying to get rid of it. So I've got 5 ounces and I need a tablespoon of chia seeds. And I'm also going to add in some collagen peptides, which again is not part of her original recipe, but it is something I just like to have each day. And I didn't necessarily have as much over like the last week when I had some overnight oats. So I definitely want to be sure that I am getting those in. Okay, and then I need a serving of chocolate protein powder. So I am using this Robert Irvine's Fit Crunch Chocolate Deluxe. It is my favorite chocolate protein powder. Actually, I want my scale. I don't know why I took it off my scale. It's just easier to measure out that way. And not necessarily that I'm like, oh, I need to get to exactly 33 grams, which I actually did. So that's interesting. But just then when I log it in Chronometer, I know how much I have put in because a scoop can be wildly different. Like sometimes I fill the scoop and it's like 40 grams, and sometimes I fill it and it's 32. So, and then her recipe calls for a quarter of a stick of um, Element electrolytes, chocolate electrolytes. I don't have those. I have Salty brand. So I'm going to add in a quarter of a stick of this. And then her recipe calls for half of a banana, but there are replacements for that. And so one of the things that she says you can replace it with is avocado. It's to give it some creaminess. I don't have like an avocado I can use, but I have these smashed avocado packets, so I'm just going to stick one of these in. I think she says to use like a quarter of an avocado, I want to say, if you're replacing the banana. And then the last thing she says to add is 2 tablespoons of almond butter. That's to add fat to the smoothie. She's all about protein, fat, and fiber. But I'm getting fat from my MCT oil and from my avocado, so I'm actually not going to add that one. I know I say I'm going to try these new recipes, and then they're not. I'm not really trying those recipes. I'm trying my version of them. All right, gonna blend this. It looks really chocolatey and kind of thin. I actually might want to add some peanut butter just to help thicken it up a bit. No, it'll be okay. I changed my mind. Okay. It's good. Really chocolatey. That protein powder is just good. And so that's really kind of what it tastes like is like the chocolate protein powder. Like it almost tastes like the hot cocoa that I make when I make um, hot cocoa using that chocolate protein powder. I think what I don't like is that I can't taste the coffee. And I do want that coffee flavor in it. So, like, I'm contemplating adding another shot of espresso just to help bring out the coffee flavor. Like, I do want to taste the coffee. This is just a bit sweet, um, and more like just a chocolate drink. But either way, it'll do. Like I'll be able to drink it. Um, I think I might try it again sometime and maybe only use half the amount of chocolate powder and then like the other half use plain whey protein isolate and see if that helps it. So now I'm getting ready to make my pancake mug cake. I have two what you would consider ramekins for this. You're supposed to use 8-ounce ramekins, so I just have these little bowls. I have greased them with some coconut oil. And in my bowl here, I have a quarter cup of good culture cottage cheese along with 1 egg. I'm actually just going to kind of get these started before I add in my dry ingredients. It doesn't say to do that in the recipe. I just feel better about doing it this way. Okay, I need a quarter teaspoon of baking powder, half a tablespoon of coconut flour, or you could use 2 tablespoons of almond flour. And then the original recipe calls for a half teaspoon of liquid stevia. I don't have liquid. I'm just going to use this powdered version of a monk fruit allulose blend, and I'm going to use a whole teaspoon because I think that it's not as sweet as like the liquid. And then I need 2 tablespoons of vanilla whey protein powder. So I am using, again, Robert Irvine's Fit Crunch. This is my favorite vanilla protein powder. So 2 tablespoons of this. And then I'm just going to get these all mixed together. The recipe does say you can blend it in a blender, but you don't have to. Like the original recipe is just to do it this way. And then it says optionally, you could blend it in a blender. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do this. Okay, and then split it between my 2 ramekins. And this is 1 serving. So you're like at first serving, you're supposed to have 2 pancakes. Trying to get it as evenly divided as I can. I'm not very good at that. Like I understand quarters and halves and fourths, but like to eyeball it is just, I struggle with that. Okay. And then you can take chocolate chips or blueberries, whatever you might want, and put some on top. I don't know if it'd be better if they were fresh, but they should be okay because I am going to stick it in the microwave. I do want to make sure I have berries in like every bite. I think the original recipe calls for like a total of like 5 berries, but that's just not enough berries. You want to have berries in every bite. All right, so I'm going to do them individually, cook them for a minute, test them, cook them for a little bit longer if I need to. My first one is done. I have put it on a cooling rack. I really don't like them to get like soggy from like sitting in a bowl and having that condensation build up into them. So I am using a cooling rack. Yes, it's an extra dirty dish. I don't care. I'm going to try it just plain, no syrup or anything like that. It's a little tough. Like you can tell just by cutting into it that it's got that whey in it. I really enjoy the pop of blueberry. I'm going to try to take a bite that doesn't have any blueberry in it. It's okay. Like you can definitely tell the whey is in there. I can always tell when the whey is in there because it makes it kind of tough. Not my favorite, but very similar to a lot of other recipes like that have the whey in it and have that kind of similar texture. It's probably one of the best textures that I've had with that whey in it, but still, not really my favorite. The flavor is good. Like it definitely was enough sweetness, not too sweet, just the right amount of sweetness that I added to it. So the flavor is good. I'm sensitive to that texture. So, but I think I will really enjoy it with the blueberries in it. I only ate one of those pancakes. I gave the other one to my son to try. He said you can definitely tell that it's eggy, which makes sense. So I am now, and I did finish the coffee. I am full. Like I can see how that smoothie, like does make you feel full and satisfied, as Autumn would say. So I am very satisfied. But right now, so at Christmas time, we play bingo, or maybe it was Thanksgiving. We play bingo, and my kids win prizes if they win bingo. And one of the prizes was for mom to make them homemade chocolate chip cookies, and it was a blackout bingo. And they actually both won. And so they ended up having to split the prize. So each one of them got half of the little coupon, and they have now brought it together to turn it in to get their homemade chocolate chip cookies. So that's what I'm going to work on. I'm not sure if I have made this recipe before. I could not find in my on my channel that I have made it. If it is a repeat, I apologize for that. But I'm going to try it. Now, this recipe calls for unsweetened applesauce, which I know a lot of people are going to be like, it's still apple, it still has sugar. Like in 1/2 cup serving, there are 12 carbs, right? Um, the recipe does call for a 1/2 cup. Now, it's split over 8 cookies, right? So, when I entered this information into Chronometer for this recipe, even with using, I'll try to get this open. This is actually chocolate chips that have sugar in them. This is Hershey's Special Dark chocolate chips. And the reason that I'm using them is because the other chocolate chips, like the sugar-free chocolate chips, have erythritol in them, and it upsets my daughter's stomach. And when I look at the information on the packages, this when you get the dark, right? So the first ingredient is not sugar, but when you get the dark chocolate chips, the difference in net carbs is like a couple of net carbs per serving. And so it's worth it to me to have her have that couple of extra net carbs and not have an upset stomach. So I actually am using sugar chocolate chips. There's only 2 tablespoons in the entire recipe. But even with adding those along with the other ingredients for this recipe with the applesauce, each cookie is going to have less than 6 net carbs. So that's still not bad. Okay, so it's a pretty simple recipe. I'm excited to try it. I'm going to get my dry ingredients mixed together first. I need 1 cup of whey protein powder. So again, I'm using this vanilla protein powder. I'm using the Fit Crunch. And I did actually do the work of converting this into grams just because it's so much easier to weigh things out than to, like, I don't know, measure them. So I need 102 grams of this. And then I need 28 grams, or about 1/4 cup, of almond flour, a teaspoon of baking powder, and then I'm going to mix these together before I add in my applesauce. So there's no egg in this recipe. The applesauce kind of does the work of everything. I need 111 grams of the applesauce, or about a 1/2 cup. Okay, I'll get these mixed together to create my dough, and then I'll add in my chocolate chips. And like I said, I'm going to need 2 tablespoons of those. Two tablespoons. I am preheating my oven. Well, it actually is preheated to 325 degrees. And I have my parchment lined baking sheet, and I should be able to get 8 cookies out of this. And it just says to drop it by spoonfuls. So I guess that's what I'll do. Okay, not quite as easy as just dropping it by the spoonful. Okay, it's a pretty sticky dough, but I got them on there. I'll get them in the oven, bake them for 8 to 10 minutes. The cookies are out of the oven. I did let them go for 10 minutes and I kind of feel like maybe that might have been too long. It's kind of hard to tell because like you can see they're pretty glossy, but they're also pretty firm. So I think I might have let these go too long. I have put them on a cooling rack because then I can get them off my pan and stop the cooking faster. I'm gonna let them cool for just a couple of minutes and then I'll try one and let you know what I think. Yeah, they're they're pretty dense. I think I overcooked them. The flavor's not bad. They're pretty sweet. Um, which is kind of nice. Like I said, like the carb count is less than 6 per cookie. And so to have it that sweet with that few carbs, like that's kind of amazing. Like I don't know if you could really cut down the unsweetened um applesauce just because of like the whole baking of it, right? But I mean it's pretty sweet. I did overcook them. I wish I hadn't cooked them as long. I should have only cooked them for probably 8 minutes. They just didn't look done. But I think part of that is because they're so glossy. But I mean, it's decent for what it is. Definitely has whey in it. I can always tell when there's whey in it. So like it's not my favorite kind of thing, but I think my kids will really enjoy it. It is 1 o'clock and I am ready for my second meal of the day. I'm not all that hungry, but I am going to go for a run. So I want to get some food in me and then I have some things to do this evening. So I also kind of need to eat a little bit early for my dinner tonight. So that's kind of why I want to eat now so that I can be able to eat later and get all of my protein in. I have some chicken marsala left over, so I will link to that in the description below. And then I'm going to have an Okios 000 blueberry yogurt. That's delicious. It is 4:15. I'm going to make my dinner here pretty quickly. I have a ribeye. I will season it with salt and pepper and cook it in my air fryer. And then I'm also going to have a half cup of Highland cottage cheese. I really don't want cottage cheese and fruit. I just want cottage cheese. And this is my favorite cottage cheese to just eat as a bowl of cottage cheese. So that's what I'm going to have. And then I was looking for something a little bit more. I actually expended quite a few calories today, so I wanted to have a little bit more. And I found a recipe for a mug cake that I wanted to try. I am going to use this Equip uh, beef protein powder. The recipe does specifically call for beef protein powder, so that is why I'm using this one. This is not my favorite chocolate protein powder, but it wasn't terrible. There are some that it's like, that's terrible. There's no way I would use it. This one was okay. So that's why I'm going to use it in this recipe. I am making the mug cake first because I actually want it to cool off. I don't like warm cake, so I want it to cool off before I eat it. So I have in my mug here 2 tablespoons of unsweetened almond milk. I'm going to go ahead and add an egg, and I'll just get this scrambled up. I need a half teaspoon of baking powder, 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder. So I'm going to use this Ghirardelli cocoa powder again because I did enjoy it more than I enjoy any other cocoa powder. So 2 tablespoons of this. And then the recipe says 1 scoop of chocolate beef protein powder. I don't know what that means because everybody's scoop is different. So I'm going to go off of like what I think it means, which is really for this, it would be a half scoop of it. I think traditionally 2 scoops equals a serving. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use a half serving of this uh, protein powder. So I'm actually just going to weigh it out and get myself 13 grams. Okay, now I'll get these mixed together, which, yeah, They don't want to mix very well. Cocoa powder is notoriously not something that wants to mix very well. Okay, that was kind of like a lot of work to get it not clumpy. All right, I'm supposed to cook it for 1 to 2 minutes. Okay, it rose after a minute. I did check the bottom. It's not moist, so it looks like it's ready. I am just gonna get it in a little ramekin just because it'll be easier to eat when it's time. All right, I have my little cake. It did deflate a little bit, but not a lot. It feels really heavy and dense. All right, let's see. It's not bad. I wish it had more sweetness to it. Like there's no sweetness added to like the batter itself. And I don't know if that's because the recipe assumes that there would be sweetener added to the chocolate protein powder. I don't believe there is. No, there is a little bit added to it. It could use some sweetness, but it's really not bad. The texture is like very cake-like. Yeah, I just wish that it was sweeter. I do like the texture of it. Like it's one of the best mug cakes I've had as far as texturally. I'll just need to adjust the flavor, I guess. I ended up adding a little bit of this zero sugar Ready Whip to the cake. Just it desperately needed some sweetness to it. So I ended up with about 1,800 calories. My protein is 186. My net carbs are 35, and my fat is 98. I am in a fairly high caloric deficit. I'm not terrible, but really not great, especially since I'm trying to be at maintenance. But I'm not going to worry too much about it. My body just was not hungry, so I did not eat. And I'm going to trust that it knows what it's doing. Maybe I'll see you tomorrow.